Hey, how's it going, guys? This is your boy Hazzed, and today we're on the World of Warcraft Legion beta. Basically, I'm going to talk about my PvP current talents, and of course, honored PvP talents that I'm rolling to get that crazy amount of burst, the insane AoE damage for BGs and stuff. As I said, anything could change at any point leading up to the game's release with DKs. But as it is, guys, let's jump into this and talk about it. So we got some talents here. Now, guys, there's obviously room for multiple kinds of builds going on here, but the build that I've actually gotten the best damage, the best consistent damage, and the highest burst out of is going to be the one I'm rocking right now. Now, there is times I would change things around for PvE and probably arena scenarios, but this is what I found best to be for BGs and having a lot of fun in there, pulling the top damage, as long as we can stay alive, of course, the top damage. Alright, so the top one's going to be Shattering Strike. So that basically makes your Razor Eyes stack to 5, and then when you consume those 5 stacks from your Frost Strike, it deals 50% more damage, basically making your Frost Strike hit just about a little bit more than your Obliterate, making it really nice. Freezing Fog, of course, is going to give you that extra damage. Now, for a while, I was trying Freezing Pulse, but I really don't have much rune downtime since I am using one of the rune gainers down below, so you'll see that a little bit. Now, you really want to go with one of those at least to keep up some good consistent damage. At least that's the way I feel about it, because if you don't go with one of those, you're going to get quite a bit of downtime, so maybe you could go with Frozen Pulse if you want to go with downtime. I didn't really like playing that way. For level 58 talent, I'm using Avalanche. Now, while Pillar of Frost is active, so basically during your burst, now you can pop Pillar of Frost every minute, so this ability comes with it, which absolutely makes it amazing, which causes your melee critical strikes to cause jagged icicles to fall on your nearby enemies, dealing damage. So that's where that large AoE damage is coming from, guys. You know, like it's falling from the sky. They're like, no, don't crush me with ice. And we're like, I mean, it's pretty amazing. Level 60 talent, we are using Winter is Coming. Now, enemies struck 5 times by Remorseless Winter while your Pillar of Frost is activated are stunned for 4 seconds. Now, guys, you're thinking, oh my gosh, that's terrible. Well, just remember, guys, this is a totally new ball field. Not many people, I believe, are going to have a way to get out of that, besides, you know, trinkets, of course. Everyone pretty much has a trinket nowadays. But it basically causes you to be able to use that stun every minute and stun them for 4 seconds. I can imagine there may be a way to dispel it. But Blinding Sheet's pretty good. I might go with like Blinding Sheet in Arena if I really want to get some good CC. Definitely, because I mean it's like a blind. It's a nice blind. It's just like bam, you're blinded. It's pretty strong. But for like melee battles and PvP 1v1s, I'm probably gonna take that for the stun because it also enhances your burst, so it boosts, you know, the important part of your damage. Now the 75 talent I'm using is Permafrost, because I'm always up in people's faces, kind of pushing forward the front of the DK, and you really fight a lot of melee that deal quite a bit of damage, such as warriors, other DKs, and rogues that you'd usually run into now, quite often, surprisingly, because we technically are pretty squishy, so we get focused a lot. So I'm going with that for melee, because it seems to be a little bit more melee heavy. If I was going in against a lot of caster comps, we'd probably change to volatile shielding so we can reflect some of that damage. As for the level 90 talents, I haven't experienced or messed with Frost Scythe too much. It seems like a really cool talent. It seems like it could be fun and used for good damage completions, for AoE, for a lot of massive AoE damage. As for single target damage, you definitely go with the Runic Attunement like I am, which generates 1 runic power each auto attack, which is absolutely amazing. That'll keep up your breath longer. It'll actually cause you to get more runic power, which equals more runes for a bigger rotation. That's the rotation runic gain that I was talking about that I go with, that keeps me from having a lot of downtime. Now, for the level 100 talent, I've messed around with Obliteration a lot. It's a pretty cool ability, but it doesn't deal the large amount of pressure. It does have a short cooldown, which makes it nice. We're going to have to mess with that a little more in arena scenario, playing with like a healer or something with off heals, because 1.5 minute cooldown on that would roll pretty well. I mean, you'd burst twice before a lot of people had their major bursts up, which could be pretty nice in arena settings. Or if it offset a cooldown like that, because it's 1.5, it might be pretty cool. But the best burst I've found, definitely Breath of Sindragosa by far. Honestly, you link that with a few other abilities. We'll show you that little rotation here in a few. And you can basically global somebody, 5 seconds, 6 seconds, pretty easily. As you probably saw in that BG video yesterday I posted. Now, Glacial Advance is cool. I haven't tested it too much, but I can tell it deals strong damage, but it's definitely for kiting more. I could definitely see this ability being used if you're dueling or 1v1ing a warrior and you're kiting him around, throwing him Glacial Advance, and then just keeping away from him because they will totally tear you up in melee range. That could actually be utilized as something I'm looking at in the future as a strong dueling possibility and basically playing a Frost DK as a range class for the most part until they close the distance. And then since it costs a rune, it's probably also going to generate runing power. So by the time they close the distance, we're going to be able to heal using that item. So I've been keeping a kind of a close eye on that because that's also going to be having some nice possibilities for ranged damage for dueling. So kind of think about that one, guys. We're still thinking about that one. Let's jump into them honor talents. Now I'm going with the Gladiator's Medallion because I like to be picky about what I trinket. I don't want to get hit with anything ridiculous and trinket at a wrong time, which causes me to fail later, even though that causes it to be a 60-second cooldown that it trinkets automatically. Let's see, I'm going with Hardness, which while above 80% health, you take 20% less damage. I'm using that because Reinforced Armor 10% health is not that amazing. I mean, it would help me heal a little bit for percentage-wise, but, I mean, 10%'s not really that much. It's really not that much, at least in my eyes, it's not. So I go with the damage reduction. Now, sparring looks interesting. Physical melee attacks have a 20% chance to be blunted, dealing 50% damage reduction. That'd be amazing if it wasn't only just melee attacks, because, honestly, I like having the 20% damage all around because, it can also work on casters. Now, this is an interesting thing. Now, you have a 30% chance, it's called a Cadaverous Pallor. You have a 30% chance to, when struck by a magical spell, for it to be completely absorbed and converted into disease on yourself, dealing nature damage over time. Could be absolutely amazing, guys. If we throw that, we have that proc and thrown up on ourselves, we're fighting like a caster comp or something, and then we AMS that dot. Yeah, you could probably do that and not take any damage. Basically, get hit by a Chaos Bolt, take the dot, AMS, and get rid of some of the damage. But, honestly, you'd go with Dark Sim because we don't have too much CC at the moment. So stealing it's definitely going to be a key for playing out any kind of arena scenario. And, of course, if BGs or anything like that, it's going to come in a lot of help. Especially if we can steal Mage Ice Block still. That'll be amazing. As for Anti-Magic Zone, since it's 60%, it's not a bad ability anymore. In a BG setting, I'd say if you're going up against a hard spell cleave, could actually be very great for PvP settings. I think they had it like 35 or even lower before. Like, it was pretty terrible, but 60% is a pretty hefty little amount, I'd say, if you're fighting a hard spell comp. As for the Arroya, I'm going to go with the Heart Stop Arroya just because that adds a cooldown recovery to all abilities, which is also kind of a runic game, along with that extra runic power that I'm gaining, which makes your rotation really nice. Now, decomposing Arroya is pretty cool, but it basically just causes people to lose up to 20% of their maximum health. You're technically not dealing damage or anything under that. It just kind of reduces it. It can be cool for tanks and stuff, but I wouldn't necessarily use it on a DPS character. And all enemies, Necrotic Arroya is kind of cool. All enemies within 10 yards take 5% increased magical damage, which is pretty nice. But, we got to go with that. We got to go with that cooldown, guys. That cooldown reduction. Smashing people. All right, so this is another one that we also flop back and forth between is Tundra Stalker, which is an interesting ability which causes rooted or snared targets to take extra damage from Frost Strike. We also switched between that and Death Chill because Death Chill's chains is also going to help you stay alive longer. But if you have a dedicated healer, definitely go with Tundra Stalker because that's going to make you deal quite a bit more damage with your Frost Strikes, which is pretty amazing since we already increased them. Remember on the other talents, Shattering Strike, so you get that 50% extra damage plus the Tundra Stalker from like an Icy Chains and using a Frost Strike right after consuming those 5 stacks. It is a big Frost Strike crit, guys. That's where our large hit is actually going to come from. When I said we're going to try and use that as a finisher, that's where our large Frost Strike is going to come from. It is amazing. And for the last one, Ah, this killing machine button. No, I don't like that. Don't like that. Additional 50% critical strike damage. Like, it's cool, but I don't like it. I really don't like it. 45-second cooldown. It replaces your killing machine proc, which basically means you'll have a good hit every 45 seconds. I guess it's almost like kind of having a... No, it's not like having a two-hander. You still got to use it a lot more. I don't like it. That's too big of a cooldown for me, guys. Especially during this PvP, because a lot of people are really bursty. A lot of classes can rip people up pretty fast. Now, Frozen Center, it increases the radius of your Remorseless Winter. That's also something that looks pretty interesting, is there's a Remorseless Winter build you can do, which really buffs up Remorseless Winter dot damage, but I did not like it as much as what we're running. So we're definitely going to go with Chill Streak, which basically deals 14% of a player target's total health. So it's just 14% of the health gone. Just an extremely hard hit. So you can imagine we macro that right into our little burst and deal a ton of damage and deal percentage damage and causes their movement speed to be reduced by 70%, which is just a huge amount. Huge amount. Alright, and it bounces between targets, so it's kind of like Cascade that Priest had that just kind of shoots off and hits people. That's another one of our huge AoEs that's coming out. We have a lot of AoE power coming out on Frost DKs. It's really cool to see that. Also, guys, look below my feet. You see this? When Frost DK stands still and kind of, right before the AFK, they literally, so cold, they freeze the ground. Guys, I don't know about you, but like, that's a Frost DK dream come true. Look at it go away. I almost want to cry. It's so beautiful. Yes, it is. All right, guys. So let's talk about rotation, how we're going to go about these bursts, and talk about these little macros I've made up to make it easier to do this. So let's do this, guys. When it comes to DK rotation, guys, we've got quite a few interesting mechanics that pull into each other to build off each other to deal a huge amount of damage. And it's actually kind of cool to see. I mean, we kind of feel like it's pruned more, but there's actually more things that affect our damage now than previously did. So there's more things to kind of think about and kind of monitor in comparison to just smashing a button at something. So like just simply, hold on, we'll get some runic power. Simply putting a chains on a target at a certain time and dumping a full Razor Eyes Frost Strike into a target is going to hit a lot harder than just dumping a Frost Strike into a target. As you saw there, it almost hit, I'd say, 80 to 100k harder, which is a pretty big difference. So we're going to talk about, let's talk about just regular damage. You're basically just pumping out some Obliterates, hitting your Frost Strikes. I mean, what is your rotation really going to be? I mean, it's really roughly about what it was back in Mist of Pandaria, really. Use your Frost Strike free procs, of course, anytime you can. But, I mean, it's really, you spam an Obliterate, you use the Frost Strike procs, you get an Obliterate crit, you spam that. You're sitting full runic power. Of course, you're going to want to dump that, try and get some runes back. And then you go back to hitting Obliterate. I mean, it's a pretty simple rotation at this second. Now, putting out a little extra damage, you're going to pop your Remorseless Winter, you're going to use your Obliterates, and then you're going to Howling Blast, just the same little rotation. Priority Obliterates over Frost Strikes, pretty much, and then whenever you have a proc. I mean, unless there's more than, I'd say, 3 people, and of course you want to use Howling Blast and get that nice AoE damage, and you want to spread your dots. Dots deal a ton of damage. Now, Frost Fever is dealing 61,000 damage right now a tick, which is a very enormous amount. Now, the major burst we got, guys, I'm going to show you this macro right here. We'll cover this one. Let's see. This macro is that basic Breath Frost DK macro that allows you to cast Breath of Sindragosa, also your Pillar of Frost, and Chill Streak, which deals that giant percentage damage, and it's going to proc your Breath and use, I think, up to 7 Obliterates with this macro at once. So we're going to go ahead and do that on target. Also, right after that's generally when I use my Sindragosa's Fury to maximize burst damage right away and dump as many Obliterates into this person as I can. Also to keep up my runic power for a longer breath. So I'm going to show you that little thing. The other thing you want to do, guys, is I generally pop Remorseless Winter just after, because remember, it'll stun if Pillar of Frost is up. So I'm going to come in. I'm going to put it on the target. Oh, we don't have runic power. Hold on. Let's get runic power first. We don't ever want to burst without runic power, guys. That's, I almost broke one of my own rules. All right, so we got runic power. We'll wait on runes for just a second here. We're coming in hard. Here comes the breath macro. We're going to throw up our Remorseless Winter, and then we are going to just regular DPS the target, use Obliterate to keep it up. We're also going to throw in our Dragon, like we were going to say, and then we're going to power and Rune Weapon, use our free Howling Blast, of course, and then smash on Obliterate and keep this breath going. We can actually keep breath going for a pretty long time in Legion, guys. As you can see, it's going, and I just keep getting free procs. It's going. And I can throw up Remorseless Winter again. It just keeps going. Crazy dot damage. It just keeps going. And as you can see, we can burst for a very long time. Get a lot of damage out. Generally, that would have probably overkilled a person quite a few times if they got caught in it, of course. And as you come out of that burst, generally I hit them with the chains. And then I throw in a big Frost Strike. You see that 349k crit plus a 79 crit? Which would have made that, like, I'd say about 600k, I'd say, Frost Strike. That's a huge Frost Strike. No, 500k. 500k Frost Strike. That's huge damage. That's 1/3 of somebody's health, guys. That's why I call that Frost Strike the finisher, because it just deals a massive amount of damage. So we've talked about the major burst, guys. Now the alt burst. Now you're like, what do you mean alt burst? Now Breath of Sindragosa is only up once every 5 minutes. I mean, not Breath of Sindragosa. Sindragosa's Fury is only up once every 5 minutes. Breath of Sindragosa is up once every 2 minutes. That's going to make that breath, you can burst with that breath every 2 minutes, but you can pop Pillar of Frost and your Chill Streak every 1 minute. You want to keep these on a consistent rotation to maximize pressure, guys. Because like every minute you pop that Chill Streak and Pillar, and of course you can stun a target, and you got great CC, good damage every minute. Now, of course, as I said, every 3 minutes you can pop your breath and get your breath on the guy. Every 5 minutes you throw in Sindragosa. You really want to keep those on a good rotation. You want to remember to throw up a chains before you Frost Strike those big Frost Strikes and absorb all your Razor Eyes. Guys, you want to be very, very aware of these things. It'll help you a lot in damage as far as pumping out a lot of pressure on people. Now, something I didn't address in the other video, guys, was not Rune Weapon, what am I thinking? I'm thinking of, the Artifact Weapon. Basically, the specking on it. Now, the things that really matters is, of course, Sindragosa's Fury. And also the fact here, where's it at? Remorseless Winter. It affects it in the fact that if it hits more than one person, it's going to deal 100% more damage. During the Remorseless Winter, which is absolutely insane, guys. Now you're starting to see this massive AoE damage starting to stack up when you're rotating these abilities correctly. When you put all of them together, it's pretty insane, to tell you the truth, as far as pressure-wise goes. As I know there's a few of you guys that are on beta that are watching the videos, is from some of the comments yesterday, I was actually in some of the BGs with you guys. A tip, guys. You start out with the trinket that has versatility and like 152,000 something health on proc or whatever. Basically, guys, don't use that trinket. Don't use that trinket, because you can actually get a trinket from the PvP boxes that's kind of like the other burst trinket, where it gives you 818 mastery and gives you a versatility cooldown on use, which allows you to burst with your burst and not get health when you want to deal damage. So make sure you guys do that, and you're going to deal a lot of pressure. That's going to be it for this video, guys, at least for rotation-wise, damage-wise. We'll get more into healing and stuff. Actually, we'll just do healing right now, matter of fact. Basically, healing-wise, I was talking about Death Strike, guys. It comes with runic power, so you can only use it twice in a full runic power bar, guys. It's not that amazing. But like I was talking about yesterday, I said that I think they got rid of it. The Icebound Fortitude heal, I was wrong. Basically, they just moved it over here into one of these talents. Here it is. Death Strike heals for 300% more while Icebound Fortitude is active. I'm actually going to look at that right now and see how much more that is with IBF, because it heals for about 100k, 122k right now, which isn't a giant amount. It's an alright amount. But let's throw up IBF and give it a shot. We're healing for about 500, so we can heal for about a quarter of our life with that up, which is about, I'd say we could get off, you probably get a full heal within that IBF, honestly, if we do that correctly. So plan that out, guys. You're going to have to pre-plan your heals a little bit when it comes to Frost DKs and PvP to get that IBF heal, because you're going to use that probably to get out of a stun, but also be well aware that it's going to be your only major heal, so you may not want to use that ability as a major CC breaker. You should probably use that as your major flip, which is kind of a weird dilemma. If you're human, though, you do have an extra stun trinket, so that's a little better. The other thing I want to talk about with the weapon, I might as well just bring up the artifact weapon, is the fact that anti-magic shell breaks magical effects now when you proc the ability that comes with the artifact weapon, which is kind of cool. So I didn't realize that at first. So if you're caught in like a mage Nova and you AMS, it should actually remove the magical buff. Some stuff I also got to test out and practice with, but that'll help us a lot tremendously when it comes to chasing them, because I noticed I was chasing a lot of mages, and if I get caught in like an 8-second Nova, it was actually very, very, very angry. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you got that rotation down. I'll post some of the macros down below for these little burst macros and abilities we got here. I'm going to mess around with some of the other builds, PvP a bit more, and see what we come up with, guys. I'm also going to try out Blood. I may try out Unholy, and probably some other classes just for fun. But anyways, guys, until next time, this was your boy Hazzed.